Good morning and welcome to the Standing Committee meeting for Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. Our first order of business is roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Sharland, Mr. Coghill, Ms. Gross, Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. Mosley.
Here.
Ms. Salinetro. Ms.
Here.
Warwick. Here. Ms. Warwick.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Ms. Strasburger. 5 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. There's a motion to amend.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda has been amended. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which may be before city council. Profanity will not be permitted. Please restate your name, provide your neighborhood for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is, I don't see Dr. Miller, Grove, Pittsburgh.
Good morning. My name is Dora Walmsley. I'm the Deputy Director for Grow Pittsburgh. Thanks to Council for having me here today. In 2013, Grow Pittsburgh held the first Urban Ag Symposium for growers and food system stakeholders. Among other challenges, we learned that long-term access to quality land for food growing was the primary barrier many growers were facing. We continued working with stakeholders, including city planning, and in 2015 celebrated the passage of a suite of amendments to our city code, allowing food growing and livestock to be permitted by right. In concert with the launch of the Adopt a Lot program, stewardship opportunities were created for city residents to adopt vacant and blighted lots into community food gardens and third places. Since then, Grow Pittsburgh continues to work closely with city planning and Adopt a Lot growers, other urban agriculturalists, and practitioners to decrease and eliminate barriers to food growing. These efforts have resulted in the creation of an insurance pool and annual premium subsidies for Adopt a Lot growers, a twice-seasonal material grant program that expands and supplements the work of city farms by providing tangible resources like fencing and soil, and annual educational programming that provides a myriad of topics for growers to learn and expand their agricultural knowledge, among many other things. In addition to the direct support we provide, Grow Pittsburgh continues to advocate for policies that improve neighborhood food access and food system resiliency. This advocacy has allowed for continued partnership with the City of Pittsburgh as we've worked alongside partners and city staff last year to make improvements to programs that increase community food security and resilience. The changes included in this stewardship package that City Planning is presenting to you all increases community food security and resilience. The changes included in this stewardship package will provide greater clarity on protecting and maintaining our city's greenways, while also expanding lease terms for Adopt a Lot growers, among other changes. Grow Pittsburgh is grateful for this continued and meaningful collaboration, and I'm delighted to stand before you all today to provide my strong recommendation that Council approve this stewardship package. We hope this will be a first step for this council and mayoral administration to work to better understand the opportunities that exist within urban agriculture for the city of Pittsburgh. Food insecurity remains a challenge for residents and one that is not easily solved by a silver bullet solution. Urban agriculture and community-based food projects are not hobbies, but make up an important part of our food security safety net. As food system challenges persist, we must seek and continue to support collaborative and sustainable solutions that meet the unique needs of our neighborhoods and ensure equitable land and food access for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Brennigan.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. This is Dave Bringen. I am the co-director of Lawrenceville Together, which is the newly merged organization of Lawrenceville United and Lawrenceville Corporation. Our mission is to build opportunity and community for all who live and work in Lawrenceville. And I'll keep my comments really brief, but I was asked also to speak about our experience with community gardens and using the property reserve program at the city. We've long used the vacant property. In our history, both Lawrenceville United and Lawrenceville Corporation have used the vacant property reserve program as part of our community development and revitalization efforts, both to create affordable housing as well as community gardens. And I would say, our experience has been that both of those things have been mutually reinforcing and really, two important parts of our overall strategies for community development and revitalization, working alongside partners like Grow Pittsburgh. I just wanted to offer that, our feeling here is that housing and, urban agriculture are really not in opposition, but really mutually reinforcing for overall community development. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chief Ikahana Hal Malkina.
Greetings and good day. My title is Chief Ikohana Hal Makina. I'm the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People. It seems to me that this administration has found their niche when it comes to finding money. In a few short months, they have found millions of available funds. Yet, housing is still an issue. Funding has been found for new garbage trucks, snow removal, equipment has been secured, training facilities located, plans made. However, the issue of housing is still a problem. I cannot count on my fingers how many calls I get from friends, neighbors, and relatives looking for housing. I don't understand why the word affordable is such a controversial word. There's no room to play semantic games when it comes down to someone needing a home. This is something near and dear to Frederick Douglass. He wrote extensively about the plight of someone who needs a home or having the perspective of having a home and the quality of colonization. I suggest you all read it. Funneling money into this city by the droves, yet housing is still a problem. Food access is still a problem in the city of Pittsburgh. All across the city, houses are being erected, apartments, the Meridian, Bakery Square, Albion, and new developments in Lawrenceville are booming. Please address the affordability issue. Housing has always been affordable in the city of Pittsburgh until the developers have made side deals with God knows who, but we're all suffering as a result of housing not truly being affordable. And we really need City Council to address the concerns of its constituents and citizens and residents. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Our last registered speaker is Mara Velu.
Hello all. So I am Mira Velu, and I am a Parks and Conservation Planner with Trust for Public Land. So Trust for Public Land is a national nonprofit with a mission to connect everyone to the outdoors. We've been working across the country now for over 50 years to protect lands and work alongside communities to connect people to vibrant green spaces. In Pennsylvania, over the past 15 years, we've preserved over 4,800 acres, built 6 parks, and transformed 18 asphalt schoolyards into green spaces. In Pittsburgh, our work includes supporting Greenfield Elementary with their schoolyard renovation and supporting the city's greenways through working with the planning department and groups like Hazelwood Initiative and Land Force. So we engage with communities to design and develop our public spaces, and we stay engaged after completion. We work with communities to understand how to care and maintain their public spaces, and we connect them with resources for programming and activation. We understand the challenges of taking care of a new public space, and we strongly support processes that help communities in their work. We believe that stewardship is key to sustaining high-quality, welcoming spaces that can contribute to people's health and well-being. We strongly recommend adoption of the stewardship package because it would bring a coordinated long-term approach for residents and trusted organizations like Grow Pittsburgh and Landforce to engage in environmental stewardship and bring better connectivity to the important green spaces across the city. Each component of the package brings opportunities to engage in spaces that can be underutilized in the city but hold strong potential. We see the legislation as a strong foundation to build long-term sustainable investment in the green spaces across the city. And we also see it as a model that we could be sharing with cities across the nation who are also finding a similar need for a framework to support their public open spaces. So again, we strongly recommend adoption of this package. Thank you.
Thank you. That exhausts our list of registered speakers. If there's anyone in chambers wishing to speak, please come forward at this time. Also provide your name and neighborhood for the record.
Good morning. Carlino Giampolo, Panther Hollow. Today I am continuing my comments from yesterday on the actions of the mayor and focusing on the illegal skate park in Panther Hollow. On May 4th, I sent a letter to the mayor mentioning that throughout his tenure, he will face issues that could be defining moments for his administration, such as the illegal skate park in Panther Hollow. Keep laughing, Mr. Charland. I then gave him 7 reasons to shut down the illegal skate park. Here are just the first 2, Mr. Charland. Either one of them can help him to do what is right and end this injustice against our community. 1, your own personal dignity. Take a moment to reflect upon your valued self, principles and ideals, beliefs and attitudes, and the other components that comprise your own personal dignity. Is the illegal skate park in harmony with your dignity? 2, I hand-delivered to you photos of examples of the vulgar language and the graffiti that permeates the illegal skate park. Would you want to bring your wife and children to this playground? Is the issue is the noise of the skateboarders crashing onto the concrete, permeating into our homes and throughout our neighborhood, what you would want for your own family and neighborhood? The mayor ignored all 7 reasons. Once again, he shamefully never responded. This is one more example of the mayor's elitist attitude that is putting him on the path of tragedy. Last week, the mayor went on television deploring the almost out-of-control violence in our city, speaking as if he's above the violence rather than a part of the overall horrific consciousness behind it. When the mayor condones 12 incidents of harassment emanating from the users of the skate park just because they do not rise to the level of beatings, stabbings, or murder, and when he ignores the pain and suffering of the residents, knowing that the illegal skate park in their neighborhood is not their will, then he can be considered a part of that criminal consciousness he spoke about permeating our city. I will repeat what I said yesterday. Staff members and administrators who understand dignity, speak up now to guide the mayor back onto the path of dignity. Shut down the illegal skate park in Panther Hollow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Council of Selective Service. I wish I had a job like y'all. It's been over 20 years and y'all haven't started at 10 o'clock. Why do y'all still have that y'all start at 10 o'clock? That don't make no sense. And then y'all have mascots for the day that want to come out and speak to people while people are speaking because you don't care about what the person that's speaking is saying. They only get 3 minutes. You get paid to listen to their 3 minutes. And I know you want to look at me in my face because you know I'm talking to you. But anyway, good morning. My name is Unique Brown, and I'm here today representing the forgotten neighborhoods of this city, the ones you only seem to see when the person asking looks a certain way. I have a vision for our community. I already spoke about it, and I've already started to work to make it happen. I want to put the pictures of our soldiers up on the poles throughout our neighborhoods. I want their faces up there because if I don't, I'm afraid this city will do their memory what it does to people like me every day, just look right past us. I'm here today because I want to do this the right way. I want to know what I need, what permits am I supposed to do, just what's the specific next steps, because I know I need to know it from y'all. I don't want to start this and then I'm being told I'm breaking the law. So I'm asking for the rules because I've noticed that the rules in this chamber tend to change depending on who's standing at this mic. And that brings me to the other issue of convenience that I spoke about before. I've been here telling y'all what I'm going through, and it's like I'm speaking a different language that y'all don't understand. But the minute I brought a white woman in here with the exact almost same problems, suddenly everyone was fluent. You all ran to her like she was the last raft on the Titanic. And Anthony, that's probably going to come rolling in a couple minutes, he practically set the land speed record for sprinting out of here to hand her $20. I didn't know that city council has an instant ATM service for some people, but don't call us, we'll call you service for the rest of us. So since I'm here today trying to honor our soldiers, people who actually know what sacrifice looks like, I'm sure a few council members and Anthony will be the first one to reach out and donate to help me get these pictures up. I know how much he loves to help the less fortunate. So I'm waiting for the information on permits and my $20 donation from him. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Saket Rajpurath. I'm a Pitt Law grad and a student of Professor Dangle's Wicked Problem Innovation class.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Dangle. I am a professor at Pitt Law School. I'm also a community member of the Hill District. And for the past 5 years, my students and I have been working with members of the Hill District in Knoxville to green vacant lots. Why are we doing this? Because greening vacant lots has been shown by many studies to decrease rates of depression, and gun violence. We're here today to talk about the proposed improvements to the Pittsburgh Greenways and Adopt-A-Lot program and how those improvements will allow us to move forward with our projects. The first project is the Soho Native Flower Garden in the Hill District. This is on a steep, overgrown lot between Center and Wiley Avenue. We'd like to transform that into a beautiful native pollinator garden. However, the area is prone to landslides, which makes it an ideal candidate for the Pittsburgh Greenways program. We believe that adopting the Greenways Stewardship Program would allow our community members to move forward with this important project. The second project is in Knoxville. It's the Jacunda Strawberry Patch. This proposed project would transform a vacant lot into a community garden that would provide fresh strawberries to the Knoxville neighborhood. This project began as an Adopt-A-Lot lease project. However, due to the limited length of Adopt-A-Lot leases, the community member had to renew this 3 times. Adopting the City Farm Gardens program will allow for 5-year leases, and removing the Natural Resource Code will formally permit urban agricultural projects like the Jacunda Strawberry Patch. The final garden that we're working on is the Grandma Bee's Hill History Garden. If you know Grandma Bee's, you know it's a thriving but small restaurant where overflow customers have to sit on milk crates outside the restaurant. The proposed improvements to the Adopt-A-Lot program would allow the lots next door to Grandma B's to be transformed into a gathering space with benches, public art, and signage that would honor the Hill District's amazing past, present, and future. In conclusion, by adopting the proposed improvements to Adopt-A-Lot and Greenways, City Council will allow our community members to move forward with these important projects that will improve their neighborhood's public health and safety. Thus, we strongly urge that you move forward with the proposed amendments. However, it's also important to note that without community input, such as today, community control and community ownership, greening neighborhoods can lead to environmental gentrification that would increase rents and displace long-term residents. Thus, it's important that in the near future, City Council adopt pathways to community control and ownership of vacant lots through proposals to improve the Pittsburgh Side Yard, community land trusts, programs, and the Pittsburgh Land Bank. But for now, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak for our neighbors in favor of improvements to the Adopt-A-Lot and Greenways program. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Thomas Gettner. I'm the Director of Land Stewardship with Land Force. I'm here to speak in favor of the Greenways and Adopt-A-Lot program here today in front of you. Land Force is an employment social enterprise nonprofit organization that was born here in Pittsburgh in 2016 and has since hired 228 trainees into our workforce development program and seen an 85% success rate with our crew members going on to find stable employment after completing the program. Our ability to teach new skills, provide experiences with those skills, and for those new skills and experiences to impact the lives of our crew members comes from our project work on green infrastructure systems, vacant lot management, invasive plant management work, trail building and trail maintenance work, community garden and place-based development, and our city staircase stewardship projects, as well as our tree care and restoration work throughout the city. Land Force recruits and trains hard-to-employ adults into our employment-based skills training program. Our work reduces recidivism rates by focusing on the whole person and reducing their individual barriers to future employment while connecting our participants with meaningful work projects that increase the quality of life and place for residents of the city. Land Force has received funding from local and national foundations, as well as state and federal dollars, which we've been able to apply to community benefit projects across the city, as well as direct work in Pittsburgh's parks and greenways. However, a large portion of our projects comes from a fee-for-service work that keeps trails free of vegetation and erosion, hillsides free of invasive plants and shrubs, and stormwater management systems running smoothly to prevent flooding and increase water quality. I'm here to advocate for the proposed ordinance in front of you today for Land Force to continue that valuable work that we are doing in the Hazelwood Greenway, Seldom Seen Greenway, and in Hayes Woods. We currently need to go through several layers of permissions and volunteer forms. Streamlining the community stewardship process will give us greater efficiency and flexibility in addressing issues within our scope of work and will provide a sense of partnership between the city and Land Force. In 2015 alone, Land Force built or maintained nearly 4 miles of trails between the Hazelwood and Seldom Seen Greenways. We maintained 5 sets of city steps in the Hill District, constructed a flight of wooden box steps in the Southside Park that connects the community orchard, and used a DCNR grant to plant 160 trees in parks, greenways, and along city step corridors, with crew members trying to reach their fullest potential by stewarding these community assets and making Pittsburgh a better place to live. Land Force has a track record of exemplary partnerships with DPW, forestry, and environmental planning that makes us an ideal partner for engagement in our beloved green spaces. I would like to encourage the council on behalf of Land Force, all of my nonprofit partners here today, and encourage you to look at the community groups across the city as an asset and consider voting for the affirmative for the ordinance in front of you. This will allow the city staff to work more efficiently and effectively to serve the people of Pittsburgh while providing improvements to important resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker.
I'm sorry, I thought somebody else was coming up first. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. It's in the Hill District, the senior citizen home. at the top of the hill, top of Bedford. Our daughter, Nikki, was telling me that when I'm speaking, I'm putting too much stuff in it, and I'm really confusing you. So let me explain what happened. Is that I drove my daughter down to Atlanta. I drove her truck and her furniture down to Atlanta in 2013. I came back to Pittsburgh, and my brother-in-law, Lenny Brown, who used to work for the city and also for the county, he had put Brownie in Kaylee Irvis Tires. That's 2013. So when I was in the building, Miss Fanny came to me and she was saying she had to go to the hospital, Mercy Hospital at the bottom of the hill. And so I said, well, you would catch the bus, and I showed her where the bus was, and you could go that way. So when she came back, and she said, no, the bus do not go to the bottom of the hill. I had to go in town, take another bus to get to the hospital. So when that happened, I started coming down here to city council and saying to Mr. Lavelle, we need a bus straight down to the bottom of the hill. Well, you know, he very seldom answers me, and he didn't say anything, but we got caught on the elevator together in this building. And he said, Mrs. Brown, you keep coming down here and telling me you need to go to county council. So that's what I did. I went to county council, and my councilman is DeWitt Watson. When I went down and asked, you had the president, after I got finished, he said, well, committee, we have a citizen that has a problem, and what should we do? Should we write a letter to Pat, or at one by one, or all together? Asked him, he said, no. I can't nobody come down and tell me what I need, what they need. That's my community. I know what they need. They need protection. They need security. But as it goes on, that when they were having an election time, John DeFazio, county council president, was down in the basement, but I didn't know. But as I walked through, here comes DeWitt Watson. So I said, hey, sir, you remember me? I said, you didn't do nothing. He was supposed to call. I said, you didn't do nothing you said you was. I said, I'm going to county council and tell on you. So he stopped and he was hollering, you know. I found out he just talks loud. I said, are you hollering at me? So, sir, he said, no, but I promise you I will call county council. So I go down to the room, and John DeFazio's wife was standing there. I have to finish it next week because this is getting ready to go off.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Special Agent Sunshine, the missing child, Cerise Taylor. Thank you, Lord, for keeping your promise to destroy every liar. I return to sender all voodoo, death rituals, and confusion spells sent towards me, Lavelle. It's amazing you're not hiding today. I curse to death every witch, wizard, and warlock in the world, especially in this building, in this chamber. In Jesus' name. Lord, throw them into a lake of fire, 1 trillion degrees. We need laws to come against witches, wizards, and warlocks who are doing death rituals on people daily. I'm one of them. They're being returned to sender. If you can't handle the voodoo that you practice or the backfire, please stop sending it over here, because people are already not here no more for doing it. In Jesus' name. Hebrews 4:16 says, God is faithful, even when circumstances look impossible. Shout out to the Justice Department. Peekaboo, I see you too. How was the 6-layer red velvet cake for yesterday's eye-opener? Y'all saw a lot, huh? I know, because I'm out here shining 1 million watts of light on injustice in this place. In Jesus' name. Proverbs 49:20, it says, a man who has riches without understanding is like the beasts that perish. Mosley, how's your gambling habit? Pray about it, please, because it's not hidden. Lavelle, if you need some revenue, Start with the 25-foot ordinance that people are breaking for smoking in front of businesses. 25 feet, that means across the street, not right in front of the building as soon as you come in the door, in the handicap entrance, even in the front entrance, right here on those benches, that's not 25 feet. It is not. And the fine for that, for violating it, is minimum $25 up to $1,100. Civil suit. Start suing these people because cancer is real and we will not be killed by people's secondhand smoke, which has already been proven that it causes cancer, period. Revelation 21:4, he will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away, the veil. God promises that one day former things will not be remembered. There'll be forever no more. Thank you, Lord, for using me as a vessel. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. Seeing no further speakers, we'll turn to our standing committee agenda. First committee of the day is Finance and Law, which is chaired by Councilwoman Strasburger. Excuse me. We have one supplemental paper, Bill, let me get readers, 596.
Resolution amending Resolution 924 of 2024, effective December 18, 2024, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2025 Capital Budget, the Proposed 2025 Community Development Program, and the 2025 through 2030 Capital Improvement Program by transferring $550,000 from facility improvements, sports facilities, to play area improvements.
Motion to approve, brief discussion.
Second.
Discussion, Councilwoman?
Yeah, so this is, we had a very unfortunate, so there's a project that is being worked on now in Hazelwood for the Lewis Playground. It's a project that I've been working for a number of years to gather the funding for, and unfortunately, a mistake, I believe, by the engineering team has resulted in significant overages on this project. And so there's another project also in Hazelwood, the Bergwin tennis court renovation, which you know, it pains me to do this, but I'm moving money from that project, which was supposed to start, you know, late this year, maybe early next year, and moving that over to Lewis Playground to ensure that we can keep the current project moving. So it's sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, I'll put in a budget request for the, you know, to try and refund the, you know, get new funding for the tennis court improvements, which were going to be tennis court, pickleball court, and some outdoor exercise equipment, which would have been very nice for Glen Hazel up there. That court is just sort of not being used at the moment. At any rate, I just all of that to say, you know, it's always a bit of, you know, the cost of things with contractors that we use in government. It's not just at the city, right? It's across the board. But, you know, we pay exorbitant amounts sometimes, it seems, for projects. It's always a little mind-boggling how much projects cost when it's the government that is paying compared to if it were the private sector paying. And then to have a mistake made by the contractor that then results in, you know, a neighborhood that had two projects and now only has one, is unfortunate, to say the least. So at any rate, that I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's it in a nutshell. So
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. That takes us to our new papers, beginning with Bill 560.
Resolution amending Resolution 924 of 2024, effective December 18, 2024, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2025 Capital Budget, the Proposed 2025 Community Development Program, and the 2025 through 2030 Capital Improvement Program by increasing complete streets by $1 million to account for additional Federal Highway Administration funding being received by the City of Pittsburgh.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Bill 561.
Resolution further amending Resolution 857 of 2023, effective December 27, 2023, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2024 Capital Budget, the proposed 2024 Community Development Program, and the 2024 through 2029 Capital Improvement Program by increasing street resurfacing by $1,065,795.78 to align with the most recent American Rescue Plan Act allocation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Need a motion to approve the invoices.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Invoices have been approved. We need a motion to approve the P cards.
Motion to approve P cards.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative. P cards have been approved. That takes us to Public Safety and Wellness Committee, which is chaired by Councilman Coghill. We have one new paper, Bill 554.
Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Pulse Point Foundation in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for the city's share of the license fee for the annual renewal of the Pulse Point Emergency Services application.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. That takes us to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Salanetro. First bill is Bill 414.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements or amendments thereto with various parties for the purpose of accessing city property while certain railroad crossings at Lockway East and Lockway West, Council District 7, are being upgraded or removed at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Second.
Second discussion, Councilwoman?
Can I call for a hold on this for 2 weeks?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill will be held 2 weeks. That takes us to our new papers, beginning with Bill 556.
Resolution amending Resolution 542 of 2023, authorizing the mayor and director of public works to enter into a subaward agreement with River Life for the purpose of spending grant funds in an amount not to exceed $499,900 to support the renovation of Allegheny Landing Park by correcting the park name on the section.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Bill 558.
Resolution providing for an agreement or agreements with Traffic Planning and Design, Inc. for costs associated with the final design phase of the Frankstown Avenue Signals Project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $404,254.34, reimbursable at 80%.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Bill 559.
Resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the construction phase of the East Ohio Street Safety and Streetscape Project and providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $2,500,000, reimbursable at 100%.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Bill 574.
Resolution approving the recommendation made by the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure that the concrete portion of Allegheny Avenue situated north of and beginning at the intersection of North Franklin Avenue and ending at 1631 Allegheny Avenue at the termination of this northerly block should be paved with asphalt in accordance with Section 41706 of the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Land Use Economic Development Committee, which is chaired by Councilman Wilson. first new paper is Bill 563.
Resolution authorizing pursuant to Chapter 210 of the City Code, the mayor and the director of the Department of City Planning to accept a donation from Preservation Pittsburgh in an amount of $10,000 for the conservation of the Soldiers and Sailors Foundation in Arsenal Park.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Bill 564.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind, there's several bills that city planning would like to discuss together.
Okay. I think there's 5 in total. I didn't know if you
Yeah,
wanted
it's 5 in total,
if
yeah.
you wanted to read them all together.
Yeah.
You do?
Is that okay? Oh, I want.
'Cause they're in
I want
two-
to defer. Is that okay?
Yeah, sorry.
It might get a little
Yeah,
messy.
because they're in 2 committees.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
You know what they are.
It's Bill 564.
62, 65, 66, 67.
Yes.
Wait a minute, 564.
560.
It's basically just the 164 on my committee, and then everything
And then the
else
rest is in Councilman Warwick's
all the-
committee, I believe.
Yeah, the 4 that are in
Okay.
everything that's in that committee.
Bill 564, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code Title IV, Public Places and Property, Article 7, City Realty by amending Chapter 454 to update Pittsburgh's Adopt-a-Lot program. Bill 562, resolution authorizing the mayor, director of the Office of Management and Budget, director of the Department of City Planning, to enter into an agreement or agreements with Open Space Institute for the purpose of receiving grant funds in an amount of $25,000 to acquire privately owned tax delinquent land to improve connectivity of our greenways. Bill 565, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code Title IV, Public Places and Property, Article 7, City Realty by adding a new chapter 456, City Farms Garden Program, to authorize the Department of Parks and Recreation to establish a garden program which permits urban agricultural activities on permanently city-owned property, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill 566, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code Title IV, Public Places and Property, Article 7, City Realty by adding a new chapter 455, Greenways, to authorize the Department of City Planning and its appointing designees to establish a Greenways program which permits stewardship in urban agriculture activities in the Greenways, all under certain terms and conditions. And Bill 567, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code Title IV, Public Places and Property, Article 11, Parks and Playgrounds by amending Chapter 47301A3 and 47301B1 to update Pittsburgh's park property use regulations.
Motion to approve discussion.
Second.
With discussion, Councilman Wilson?
Yeah, could city planning come up? Figure we read all the bills, we don't want to let you get away with not coming up here.
Sure. Andrew Dash, Deputy Director of City Planning.
Isabella Gross, Principal Environmental Planner, City Planning. Mackenzie Puskovic, Senior Planner, City Planning.
We'll just kind of quickly walk through the package of bills. City Planning introduced these bills as a part of what we're calling a stewardship package, which is where over the last year, Isabella and Mackenzie and some others on the team have really worked with community, with other departments within the city to revise our stewardship programs with the overall intent of trying to make it easier for residents, for nonprofit organizations and others to be able to steward the city's, either vacant or hillside properties. And so just to quickly kind of walk through, and I'll walk through them in order that they're on the agenda, even though that's a little out of sequence for us. The first one is around amendments to the Adopt-a-Lot program. And what we heard is that there are a lot more uses that are out there that residents and communities want to be able to utilize as part of stewarding vacant property. Stewarding vacant property, over these through the Adopt-a-Lot program is something that does provide a benefit to the city, not only to neighborhoods and our communities, but to things like public safety and maintenance costs, that are reduced by the city. And so the changes to the program really are around expanding those opportunities for additional use, through temporary use of the city's vacant properties through the Adopt-a-Lot program. The second one relates to, I believe, our fourth piece of legislation, which is that as a part of the team's work, we were able to go after and acquire a small grant for $25,000 that is intended to kind of combine with the fourth piece of legislation, which is around our Greenways program, for us to identify, specific tax delinquent properties to take onto the city's inventory, really to fill in some of the gaps of, kind of our hillsides, that we have in some of our greenways. So, the team, after, kind of, if this is approved, we'll be able to utilize those funds through things like the treasurer's sale or the land bank to kind of to strategically acquire properties. This is based on, the team has done really a parcel by parcel analysis, which I know we've covered with a number of your offices, of all of the vacant and tax delinquent properties across the city, and looking at where there are, potential opportunities for additions to the system. The third piece of legislation is around the creation of a new program. This is around the garden program. The garden program is intended to utilize, leftover sections of our parks and greenways that aren't being utilized, for other recreation needs, to be able to offer them up as, potential leases for either, food forest or urban agriculture type of uses. So there is, this would be creating a lease program that, although we are the ones introducing it and would be, working in partnership with city parks, because this would be in designated parks and greenways around the leases and licenses for these spaces in the future. The fourth piece of legislation is around, really kind of formalizing the city's greenways program. So the city's greenways program has actually been in existence since 1980, but at the same time has really been informal as to how it's been, how it's been authorized. We do have 12 existing greenways that have been designated under the program to date. As a part of that parcel by parcel analysis that I mentioned, the staff have been working with neighborhoods and with community organizations and with many of your offices to identify either potential additions to greenways that already exist, or potential new greenways where ultimately the idea is that the highest and best use of property is for us to leave that natural and leave that protected. At the same time, the program, and the legislation that is here does authorize the opportunities for stewardship, and that stewardship could be in some of the things that some of the partner organizations testified to earlier, from invasive species removal to trail building to other amenities, where there's stewardship opportunities. And the last piece of legislation, which is amendment to the park property section of the code, really is helping to facilitate the City Farms garden program and the Greenways program, and really is adding additional language to allow for, right now there's a prohibition on, the opportunity to be able to, to take things out of city parks or greenways, these designated spaces, or if we are going to have things like the garden program that are going to allow for urban agriculture or food forestry, that it is enabling some of those things to happen. Obviously, there's a lot more depth, to these five pieces of legislation than that. But happy to answer any questions and provide any additional detail that council may need.
Okay, I might have some more questions, but it's been some time since our briefing, and that was very helpful. And we've discussed this, a few other times as well, and seeing you out in the community. Getting feedback from residents. So thanks for all that effort. So this, let's start with the first one. This Adopt a Lot. So presently, the Adopt a Lot program is, the rules around it are, everyone signs a lease for a year on an annual basis.
Yeah. So presently, what happens? The Adopt a Lot program has been in existence now for 10 years. So was really a time to take a fresh look at that and understand from lessees and others, where there are issues, where there are opportunities for expansion. Presently, the idea through the Adopt a Lot program is that there is a 1-year lease with 3-year renewals. That does basically stay the same. However, I think in the leases we're trying to provide, and through our connection with city finance, with the land bank, with others, really trying to provide more certainty for folks that are in those leases, that during the period of time, that they will be in those leases, that they'll be able to stay there on the property during those periods of time, and also working with, again, with folks at city finance and the land bank for people that, the Adopt a Lot program is a temporary reuse program. It's not a permanent reuse program. But there are certain Adopt a Lot projects that have really kind of grown up as they've kind of continued on, and there are some instances in which it is really valuable that even though these projects started as temporary projects, to have them continue on in a more permanent way. And so it is really the role of Mackenzie and the team to then work with the land bank, to work with city finance, to create those opportunities and help people into permanent ownership where where that's best.
Yeah. So what changes with the program? So it's a year, and then they can, with the guarantee that there's the possibility for 3-year lease after that. That's the way it currently is.
That is the way that it currently is.
3-year lease, a 3-year lease, or three more 1-year leases?
No, it's a 3-year renewal,
lease. Okay.
And we do allow people to continue to renew at 3-year intervals. Kind of post that initial 1-year lease.
But what changes with this?
I'll start, and maybe if Mackenzie has anything additional, I'll have her. Really the changes are, a real expansion of uses. The program, as it was initially created, was created as a garden program, and so the only uses that were potentially available were things that were gardens. So it was, either a rain, food, or flower garden were the 3 categories under the existing program.
Okay.
What we heard from lessees is that there was a lot of interest in expanding the kind of opportunities
so
for
the
additional
uses.
uses.
Expand, like what's an example?
Yeah, so there are opportunities for things like public art, for more community space, for people to just steward, and it can be something as simple as someone wants to really be able to maintain the lot next to their house, but they ultimately don't want to purchase it.
And does the time period change?
No, it does not.
So just the uses change.
Yeah, there is an
all right.
real expansion of the uses. That
I know this can get lodged. So I don't interrupt, but I want to just work through this because others may have some things they want to talk about. So I appreciate that. That sounds good because I think that there could be more uses than that. But I think we've gone over most of the briefing was the map and showing the different parcels. Which legislation deals with that?
That primarily deals with the greenways legislation.
Okay,
so
Greenway.
So what we're doing here is setting forward the program. So there are rules around the program. There are opportunities for us to do leases and licenses and agreements with organizations in a way that we couldn't presently. And what's going to follow up in subsequent legislation to City Council is a lot of the work that Isabella and Mackenzie and others have really been kind of working with communities to identify specific parcels for either additions to greenways or potential new greenways. And those would have to be legislated by City Council. So those will come back to you as future legislation.
Oh, so for instance, similar to how we have camping in Riverview Park, we have a separate agreement where the director signs off or, organizes that agreement for an organization to do camping in Riverview Park. Similar to that, it would come back to council. Like that had to go through council. So if someone was going to do something on a greenway, some sort of, I don't know, you just described it, that there's, it provides opportunities for different partnerships in the greenway?
So
for instance,
the designation of space is something that would be separate council legislation. So which parcels, what areas, we have, for example, in your district, the Hollows Greenway and the Perry South Greenway. Well, I think that one's partially in the district. But, at the same time, there are opportunities for additional parcels to be added to those, and then creation of additional greenways. And I know that we've kind of spoken to Fineview and some other communities in the district around that. So that when those come forward, those spaces that we're actually going to legislate as greenways, those would be additional pieces of legislation that would come to City Council. What the program legislation does is it allows us to go under agreement with either stewardship groups, with community organizations, with residents in some cases, to be able to help steward those spaces. And again, that could be for something as simple as a cleanup. We've seen that in the past, although there's been a lot of work from the city and our partners, that there are problems like illegal dumping that occur in a lot of these hillside spaces. And so it could be something as simple as, being able to have a community organization go into the space and clean it up, to some of the larger work of trail building or providing other kind of passive recreation opportunities in these spaces. And so what that would do is allow us to more quickly get into those agreements, while City Council, like I said, would see additional legislation over what spaces those things can actually happen in.
Okay, and then, so for instance, it's great that you all got the grant. Thank you for that one. I'm going back 62 on this grant. Appreciate the grant. I'm wondering, these land to improve connectivity or agreement, so the tax delinquent land, so we would be going after these tax delinquent parcels and adding it to the greenway?
That would be correct. That there are a number of places where there just might be. No, the intention is that these properties would be they're
like landslide,
typically landslide prone hillside properties that are maybe like one tax delinquent property in a row.
Okay.
Where, especially if we're trying to work with stewards to steward a larger space, getting all of those things, all of those pieces under city ownership is really important. We have not identified specific parcels that we would be going after at this time. I think that that was really work that would happen after council taking this action.
Okay. And then this garden program.
Yeah, so we have some.
You have quite the package here.
Yes, so we have some existing community gardens that exist in parks across the city. Those are of really high demand. At the same time, one thing that we have heard from from people in the agriculture community is that obviously it's great that we allow kind of through the Adopt a Lot program the opportunity for gardening. Unfortunately, many of those lots are vacant lots that formerly had buildings or other issues relative to them, and there are. Like thinking about, our existing garden program that exists in some of our parks and the high demand, as well as, although.
But what's the program? Is someone going to drop mulch off? Or?
So what it would do is that, through interest and then, kind of community process, we would be determining areas of our parks or our greenways that are really not being utilized for recreational purposes otherwise, and that we would then
so these are recognized more
opportunities for additional gardens.
These are recognized more parcels that can be used for a garden program.
They would be in
not like the city's gonna then create a separate fund for assisting.
No, this isn't. There's no funding here. I mean, really, what it is offering, again, underutilized land in our city's parks and greenways, to lessees to be able to, to do urban gardens, urban farms, community gardens, or like food forestry, so like an orchard or something like that. That would be opportunities that we would be able to have through the garden program that we don't currently have.
All right, and then this 67, this other one that says Parks and Playgrounds by amending chapter to update the park property use regulations. What?
Yeah, so as kind of noted, if we are allowing through the garden program urban agriculture or orchard uses in some of our parks and greenway spaces.
So that has to be changed as well.
The changes here are really related to that and allowing. Whether it's trees and plant material or, whether it's fruit or vegetables to be taken off of, a city-owned park or greenway. So it is really kind of facilitating the garden program and some of that other work.
All right, thanks. Thanks for your work on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think members know how exciting this is for me and for Councilman Coghill, who's unfortunately not here today. He's out of town because he's very excited about it as well. So this has been work that's been many, many years in coming. I think this council has done a really good job over the 12 years that I've been here on moving forward food policy of all kinds, including supporting community gardens and agricultural space. I was here when we revised and expanded the urban ag zoning code, and that was an exciting day with a whole press conference on the portico and things. And we have, I think, we're very, very fortunate to have so many partner organizations working with residents in every single one of our districts every day to increase not only the space that is cultivated, but also kind of building the skill sets, building the human capital, like teaching people how to do this work, right? So people learning how to grow food, but also how to harvesting it, processing it, storing it, preserving it, using it, cooking with it. And that's really, I think, the work that we should all be proud of, that has grown tremendously. I don't have the number of total gardens. I think our Grow Pittsburgh people in the audience here somewhere probably do. I haven't looked recently for an updated digital map of like where all of the community gardens in the city are. But it's been, I think, it's a bigger story than we can address today, in how much our city residents and our partner organizations and the city have all invested in creating a local food system. And I always just like to throw in, as I did a minute ago, that it isn't only growing food. We also have to have local systems for, again, harvesting, preserving, processing, bottling, distributing, right? If I like to say, when we were kind of discussing the food justice funds, for example, that if you're a corner bistro, and I think all of our residents are kind of wishing they had more neighborhood stores, you can't buy 30,000 jars of pickles like Giant Eagle can, right? You need someone selling pickles who's only selling you a few jars. And so part of supplying and supporting the local food system is also supporting and investing in the spaces like commercial kitchens and storage facilities that are at a small scale, supporting the makers who are at a small scale, and also the food growers at a small scale, right? So that's fighting the kind of, so that we have that safety net, that we're not just relying on global food chain and the largest supply chains that, as we saw in COVID, collapse. So I'd like to remind the table of the bill that we all voted on unanimously, that I was co-sponsored with the previous colleague in District 4, which is a resolution that was directing the Departments of Finance, which is a treasurer sale, who maintains the properties, treasurer sale properties, and city planning, to create and identify sites citywide. So we all asked for this in 2020. Identify lots in May. So because of the beginning of COVID. Oh, actually, sorry, it was introduced on April 13th, 2020. So only a month into the pandemic. Directing finance and city planning to identify sites around the city that can be used to foster urban ag, including land garden collectively by people on properties, whether for personal or non-commercial use or for offsite selling of agricultural products, including everything from, your animals that you think of to, agroforestry. And create various tools to be utilized to secure these lots for use as urban ag, including but not limited to deed restrictions, cooperation and lease agreements with other art organizations or large institutions or other government agencies, and also the operation of city-owned gardens. And that the lot should be identified by finance and city planning, may include city-owned sites or land within city parks, existing urban gardens, or urban farms, which the city can enter into and lease with cooperation agreements, temporary urban gardens on land waiting development, like we're talking about with the land bank, or adopt-a-lot, sorry. But that we should also be looking at sites that, just like a baseball field, are held for growing food, or a swimming pool, right? We don't build a swimming pool for 1 year. We don't build a swimming pool for 5 years. And so I think this is the kind of recreation our constituents are asking for. And hopefully it will be just for recreation, but if in case of, the apocalypse, it's there for food as well, which is really, I think a lot of people are fearful, both about affordability, but also about availability of our global supply chain on food. So I'm completely enthusiastic about all of these bills. In fact, I think there's not enough time to devote to them today. I think you all know in the last 5 years, in my district alone, we've planted 600 trees, but 300, again, with neighborhood organizations and various greenways, hillsides, rights of way, which are stairs, which are neither greenway nor city park. But 300 of those trees are food trees, Western Pennsylvania native food trees like pawpaws, persimmons, shagbark hickories, hazelnuts, service berries, which now are super famous. I don't know, we've planted several dozen service berries over the last 5 years, elderberries, and I could go on. And moved into shrubs as well, like the native blueberries, we're now even encouraged by organizations that we work with, neighbors that we work with who want to plant, edible, I think it's a legume. I don't know what a sunchoke is. It's a tuber of some kind, right? So this is like a flower. So we've gone from trees to shrubs, and now we're going to flowers that are native Western Pennsylvania, either indigenous or traditional foods. So I'm excited about this. I think there's a lot of details, again, that are kind of too long for a standing committee hearing to talk about, that people will want to hear about, what about the site that they've been stewarding? Are they going to be the ones who get the lease to steward that, or are they going to get, overrun by somebody else who's going to get the lease? And so how do we support the people who've been putting in all the sweat equity, and who have the vision and kind of already feel ownership of the sites, even though they didn't have anything official agreement with the city? I think is a good example. Also, I think council knows that we have really moved the needle. And again, I have to give Councilman Coghill, who's not here, a shout out. I know he wants to participate in the conversation with the amount of city resources that we're using to help these sites succeed. Because 10 years ago, we might have given someone a lease, or if they needed help, we were just like, well, good luck to you. You're on your own, succeed or fail, whether you need volunteers, whether you need materials, whether you need money, whether you need fencing, compost, wood chips, seedlings, all of these things. And now we provide a lot for a lot of sites. And so the numbers that we've able to pull together with city direct resources like technical assistance, since we now have, if you didn't know, a half-time farmer in city parks who goes out to help community gardens and agricultural sites succeed. And we have equipment that we didn't have. We have an $80,000 wood chipper. Shout out to Kelsey in my office and her master's in food from Chatham and her specialization in community agroforestry that we didn't have before. So we've literally, recently provided 1 ton of wood chips to one of these community gardens, because that's something you need, right? If you're composting, you need wood chips. If you're remediating soil, you need wood chips. We didn't used to be able to do that. In fact, we were paying a company just to take our wood away and not getting wood chips back. So now we have our own equipment. We're generating the wood chips and we're providing them. And so by our calculations, I think in 2025, the city provided the resources, materials, technical assistance, dollars for about 60 gardens citywide in just 1 year. But 10 years ago, that was only 4. Or no, 5 years ago, it was only 4. That's how much City Council has worked with the administrations to move the needle, to provide the capacity so we have a local food system. So I am excited about this. I'll stop talking, but I think we definitely, I know Councilman Coghill wanted to participate in this conversation, so I'll defer now. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't ask any questions. I apologize. You gave me a briefing, so thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Warwick.
I do just have one question, or maybe more of a comment, and it's with regard to the reforming the Greenway program and the stewardship, and I have heard some presentations on this at some community meetings in my district. I definitely like the idea of, well, just to sort of better understand, is the stewardship going to be, are third parties going to be performing this, like such as Land Force? In other words, are we going to be paying for the stewardship? Is that the concept?
Maybe I'll start, and Isabella, if you want to follow. So the present system for greenways is that a greenway was brought to City Council to be legislated with a steward for the entire space. And so, unfortunately, what we've seen is that, organizations, fall to the wayside. People that may be interested, lose interest, move away. And so what happened was we had this system where essentially there was one steward for the entirety of a space. And so, what we are doing by creating this legislation is, creating opportunities for lease and license opportunities, for anywhere from particular activities, that might have a start and an end date, to stewardship over a section of the space, or even or it could be an entire greenway, for a longer period of time. And so, we are really kind of focused on providing the flexibility to do all of these different types of agreements. At the same time, many times we are not the ones funding organizations to then work in spaces, but we are really trying to facilitate, again, whether that is organizations going to be able to, to go and obtain funding to work in these spaces, or community organizations to then work, with some of our nonprofit partners to raise funds to help to steward these spaces. Isabella, is there anything else you want to add?
And the city would also, DCP would also go after grant funding to kind of fund our nonprofit partners to continue stewarding the spaces as well.
Yeah, and so there have been a lot of discussions over the last year with organizations and trying to figure out what, if there is some sort of partnership that the city can provide with organizations to get funding to do more stewardship. But as it sits now, it's not something that the city is. The city does not have funding that it is putting towards greenways, for these stewardship activities. But we obviously want to be able to think about what that model looks like for the future, for all of the different nonprofit partners that we have and all the different activities that they can do or even are doing right now to help steward these spaces and improve these spaces.
So that's great. And when it comes to things like trails and, maybe like the Goatscape and stuff like that, that's, I have a number of cases in my district. We heard from the speakers, the Hazelwood Greenway mentioned, where, and Hazewoods, where lots of good work is being done. I do have one, and I know, I mentioned this at the community meetings as well. So if we are dedicating, I'll just use Greenfield as an example, right? Hillsides, and saying, oh, these are hillsides, right? Maybe they're privately owned, or, maybe they're owned, they're tax delinquent, whatever. We take them on as the city. For residents, and we're not talking about like large spaces like a Hazewoods or a Hazelwood Green where you're actually creating a recreational space. You're just sort of dedicating these hillsides as greenway. The biggest problem, invasives obviously is one, right? Or overgrowth, right? Sort of invasives that are kind of going onto other people's properties, and litter. And that isn't really what Land Force does, right? And it's my feeling that is what DPW should be doing already, right? So have you been working with DPW? Because to me, like just dedicating something as greenway on a hillside, I live I'm surrounded by a hillside just like this, right? Just saying this is a greenway, that does not do anything for the neighborhood, right? Because it's still full of garbage, and there's no community group that is able to handle that, right? Even myself, I always say, oh, I'm going to clean up that trash up on the hills. And of course, I don't get around to it, right? So that that feels like a city, it feels like our job as the city. So I don't know if you have any comment about that.
Yeah, maybe I'll start, and if others from the team want to join in. I think that we have worked, I think, through this process with our partners at DPW on a lot of this, and there is a lot of support that they provide to things like our greenways, whether that is in conjunction with volunteer events or with organizations that are looking to volunteer and clean up, or in addition, and so although DPW is not maintaining, they're not maintaining greenways in the same way that they are doing maintenance in greenways like they are in legislative parks, for example, where obviously there is and adding additional spaces, for them is not obviously, we're not trying to add additional responsibility as well. But, I think there are ways that they provide partnership, with stewards and stewardship activities, to be additive to the work that is going on. Teams, or anything to add?
I will also say that kind of taking this first step to designate these parcels as greenway from vacant lot or hold for studies, they've been previously kind of classified, allows us to approach grant funding to, more closely partner with folks like Land Force or Allegheny Cleanways that do have the resources to do kind of that larger dump site cleanup. I will say also, having this longer conversation with DPW is certainly a priority post this legislation passing, to kind of see how we can build a long-term kind of maintenance plan with them to potentially have them play a larger role in the greenways as well.
And I will note additionally that even though it is not a part of this legislative package, the team has worked with DPW to kind of work on kind of refining their volunteer program, which we've kind of rebranded as Help a Lot, and that there is now a stewardship site on the city's website for people to be able to access all of these programs and work with DPW in ways like that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, but and this is something we've talked a lot about at the table, is that I don't believe that as a city we can continue to rely on, twice a year community cleanups, right? Like these, in many neighborhoods, these hillsides are they're really just an eyesore, right? Yeah. And you can call them a greenway or call them whatever you want. If we can't get the trash cleaned up, then, so I guess for the success of this particular part of the package, I really would sit down as part of the planning process, right? And figure out with DPW, like, how are we, like, if we're going to take ownership of, right, because right now we have, I guess we're citing, but if we're going to take ownership of these hillsides, they will be ours. And so what is the plan? It's something that we've been asking for a while, I think, at council, just overall with litter in general, right? But what is the plan to keep them clean and make them, make them an asset to the community rather than just calling them greenways? So I don't know. I hope that that's something that you all will engage with DPW on.
Yeah, and I think it's a very fair point, and I think at the minimum what we're doing here is at least facilitating the opportunity for stewardship, where it's a lot harder to see that now. But I think that the point you're making is definitely one that we can follow up on, as to how these spaces get stewarded in the future.
And maybe Land Force and such are willing to do that ongoing litter cleanup. I don't care if we pay someone to do it or if we get grants to do it, but what it needs to be happening all the time, yeah. Right? Like regularly. At any rate, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councilman?
I will be very quick. When we had talked, I guess a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, there was a map that you included.
Yes.
Is that in this legislation or in one of the pieces of legislation? It is not. It is just the framework so we can build the map.
The map of the specific parcels that will be designated as greenway will come in a separate legislation soon.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Salanitra.
I just had a quick question. On the Adopt a Lot program, you said, somebody who lives next door to a vacant property can do some maintenance and adopt that lot. Is there a size lot, that we limit to how big of a lot somebody can have?
No, there's not. So we have Adopt a Lot projects we have an Adopt a Lot project that is over 2 acres, of where they have taken on in the Charles Street Valley, blocks of city property in cases like that. And we have Adopt a Lot projects that are as small as 1 parcel.
Okay. That's all for me.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll go first round and turn it back over to you. A couple quick questions. On the Adopt a Lot bill, the provision for the city to end that lease with 30 or 90-day notice has been stricken.
It's still relevant. It's just not called out in the code. It caused a lot of confusion, but it still applies.
How would we, if it's not in the ordinance, then how will we enforce that?
It's in the toolkit, the program toolkit.
Okay.
So the idea is that the legislation identifies the toolkit as a way to kind of put additional regulations, and that those serve as the foundation for the leases and licenses the legal agreements that we sign that we sign with someone, and so those regulations are there.
Okay. So pardon my ignorance. I have not read the entirety of the toolkit, so I apologize. My main question is that does ensure that someone's not adopting a lot in perpetuity.
That is correct. Again, the Adopt a Lot program, and we've tried to make sure that recent updates to it, or even additional clauses in leases or licenses, do show that it is a temporary program for temporary reuse of vacant property. We understand that in our communities with different real estate markets, temporary can mean very different things.
Yeah.
That it can mean. Something that can mean 1 year in one community may mean 15 in another. But, again, the idea is that ultimately the intent of the city is to ultimately dispose of properties that are in the Adopt a Lot program, whether that is because there's development that happens at a future point in time that would have the city dispose of those properties, or because something like an Adopt a Lot program or project would kind of get to a point in which it would be permanent, and then we'd be working with partners at City Finance or the Land Bank or others to ultimately get those properties out of city ownership.
Okay, thank you. I think we're in alignment there. Question on, decision making. When someone applies for an Adopt a Lot, who is making that determination?
Who's making the determination to lease or license?
Yes.
The program, it is through the Director of City Planning, who ultimately is the one who signs that lease or license, again, with it as a temporary reuse program.
Thank you. I think it would be helpful is when someone was applying within whomever's respective district, a notification was sent to the office, because the council office may know of something that the planning department may not.
Yeah.
So
We have added that to the toolkit.
again, I guess I should have read the toolkit. Thank you. All right. So that's all the questions I have for the Adopt a Lot then. For the City Farms Garden Program, you may have said this, and I'm just again trying to get clarity. Is this meant for parcels that are in parks and greenways, or is this for anywhere?
It's meant for parcels that are in parks and greenways.
Okay, thank you. And because the language, again, this mentions the toolkit. It says on permanently city-owned property. And so just for my clarity, that means parks and greenways.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Second round, Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I was just kind of looking for the toolkit. Oh, so it's not, no one's seen it.
It's not published yet.
So you have to talk into the mic.
Sorry, it's not published yet.
Okay.
After approval, it will be.
Okay, so we don't know what's in the toolkit until we ask, and then
So the vacant lot toolkit, there is a vacant lot toolkit that presently exists that is available on the city's website. The amendments to the toolkit, are in line with, what we briefed members on, which is really that expansion of uses, is the primary change. Kenzie can note any other kind of larger changes. At the same time, we wanted to make sure to be able to respond to all council questions and inquiries before having that something that is ultimately posted. We have reviewed those changes with community organizations and stakeholders as we've been trying to go through the process of updating the toolkit and the program.
Okay.
Happy to also review it with you.
I would like that for sure. And just so you know, we do have a request from Councilman Coghill, who's also super enthusiastic about this and has done, years of work that we've done together on these issues. He's got an orchard that he's planted on a set of city steps that's nearly finished, and I'm really pretty envious of it because he has crews maintaining it, so it's just very pretty. In addition to having native trees and native food-bearing trees, and it runs from the T-stop, so the fixed, rail transit stop on Beach.
Belasco.
The steps are Belasco, so it's Beechwood Boulevard at the top where the T-stop is. That the URA is invested in Broadway. Sorry, that's what I was asking. What is the street? I'm gesturing the top of the hill, and then there's a very long set of city steps, probably some 300 feet. That go down to a residential area, and so it's a city right of way, right? Because these are city steps, so it's like city streets, so it's city property, 30 feet wide, going down this hillside, and it's beautifully planted, and some of the trees are probably 20 feet tall already. So I did encourage him to start planting there. So I like to take a little bit of credit. Because again, the enthusiastic embrace that we have. We think we have one of the first food forests. I don't know about the Hazelwood Food Forest versus the Duncan Parklet Food Forest, which was already a plan by the citizens of Lawrenceville when I was first elected many years ago, but that we've been able to help effectuate, and there's been great stewardship there where we have mature pawpaw trees that get baskets of pawpaws, and it's really great to see these projects start and then actually, I hate to say the pun, come to fruition, but it's exactly what's happening. So again, Councilman Coghill had to be out of town and asked that we hold 1 week so we could, he could be here for his own discussions and questions. And I've talked to some colleagues if they don't mind. We don't, I think there's strong support here for all of the ideas. Both certainly in my district, but I don't know if there's other questions, but I'll go ahead. We could continue, but I'll motion shall I just go ahead and motion now?
I know I have one more additional question, but I know Councilwoman Warwick also has an additional.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I just quickly for the Adopt-A-Lot, is there, with these updates, is there a path to ownership? So, if you've been, I don't know, whatever, taking care of a lot for a number of years, that it does, to kind of ensure that it doesn't get taken away from you, or?
We acknowledge now, which didn't happen previously at the start of the program, that it is a temporary use program, and that if folks are interested in ownership, we talk to them about that at the start of the application period and let them know if they're interested in acquiring, what the pathways are to begin the acquisition process. But we can't direct sale currently in city code to certain buyers through the city finance process.
So is that in the tool? So what would they do? Go through the land bank or something like that?
Yes, we either recommend them to city finance to start the application process or eventually to the land bank.
And is there anything in the new code that sort of, I guess I see what you mean. We can't give them priority, but is there some kind of way that we can, I don't know, facilitate that happening?
We do
ensure,
now.
I mean, in the code though, so that they It just seems like if someone has one of these lots for a long period of time and they, I don't know, whatever, they're like gardening in there and investing a lot of time and money and whatever, that we would want to avoid it getting sold to somebody else who just happens to come request to buy it.
That's a fair question. We can consider that. It's really up to the Director of Finance, I believe, and law.
Okay. I mean, I guess so they can get it would be a 5-year lease with an option to renew.
Okay.
With the Adopt a Lot program, they can get a 1 to 3 year lease. And if there's no application to purchase that property, then they have the option to renew the agreement.
Okay. But the property can't be purchased while they have the lease?
They can. They can pursue that process while they have the lease.
Right, but could somebody else?
Yes. And that's why we notify them at the start that if a lot that they're interested in adopting is available for sale, we let them know that this is available for sale for them to purchase, but also anyone is welcome to submit applications. It's published on our portal.
Is there any way to just kind of like deed restrict it or do something so that, yeah, so I mean, that would be my concern, is it's like somebody, you know, like they've put a lot of time or whatever into a lot, and then, you know, somebody sort of swoops in and says, oh, I want to buy this, and, you know, build something on it that isn't the garden that you've been working on. Sorry if I'm repeating the question.
It's okay. We just encourage them to pursue acquisition as soon as possible if they're interested in acquiring currently.
Okay. All right. Maybe it would be nice if we could sort of figure out a way to secure that for folks, you know, if they've engaged in the program, at least after a certain period of time, right? If they've taken good care of the property and done, you know,
and I think
done a good thing for the community over a period of time.
And I think the other thing that we do or we're trying to do with changes to the program is that, you know, is provide a little bit more protection for folks that are within the term of their lease. You know, even though obviously sale can occur, but, you know, we want to be able to provide more certainty that a 1-year lease or a 3-year lease is a 1-year or a 3-year lease. So, you know, as if someone separately is working to purchase a property that is Adopt a Lot, we're trying to work through that so that, you know, that kind of syncs with the, you know, with the timing of the leases. You know, as Mackenzie said, you know, it is, you know, we do try to, it is more of a customer service thing than, you know, something that we have, you know, any ability to kind of direct sale to someone specifically, except for, you know, through the land bank process. And so that's where we do try to ask those questions up front as to intention, so that we can, you know, in many times, there are a number of occasions where someone may be interested in a specific lot, you know, at first, and then as we get into the discussions of what their long-term intentions are, then we might be identifying other lots in the same neighborhood, or, you know, might be identifying other places that may not have, you know, the same constraints, the same issues, you know, whether that is around ownership, whether that is around, you know, community interest, you know, whether that is around other items.
But I mean, I do know that the finance department can hold properties so that they're not available for sale, just because I know that people who've had that happen where they're like interested in a property and finance has come back and said, oh no, this one isn't available for sale.
The Director of Finance has expressed openness to removal from public sale some properties that are in the Adopt a Lot program per their request. And so we've started to outline that in the toolkit, in the updated toolkit, and hopefully it's something that we can offer folks.
Okay. I mean, that might be nice if someone has shown good faith, you know, stewardship, right, over a period of time. Anyway, okay, thanks.
So I'll ask the question slightly differently because I have a real world example, and since you mentioned it, I decided I wasn't going to bring it up, but you mentioned it. So how are we going to deal with, to the Councilwoman's point, lots that have been adopted lots, but that have also been stewarded for a very long period of time? So we can use the Charles Street as an example, whereby, to your point, yes, some lots may only be there for a year. Some communities may take 10 years to get where they're envisioning. And that's the example of Charles Street, right? They've always envisioned new housing within that area, but you now have a garden through the Adopt a Lot program that has absolutely served a good service to the community and to the city at large. But there's now a tension that is coming because they now believe they're a year or so, or even potentially sooner away from having all the financing in place to move forward with the housing. How will we deal with that tension?
The idea with the removal from public sale process in identifying upfront whether or not folks are interested in acquisition, we would ultimately pull those properties from public sale for a set period of time to allow them the opportunity to kind of establish proper financing that is needed to pursue acquisition. And after that point, it would then become available for sale to anyone to pursue acquisition. So the idea is that those existing Adopt-A-Lot leaseholders would have the opportunity to acquire. Currently, for new applications, we just have those conversations up front that this lot is available for sale, and if you are interested in acquiring it one day, you should begin the process of pursuing ownership.
Okay. And that would be the case for someone who's already on an Adopt-A-Lot for the last 3, 4, or 5 years.
For existing leaseholders, it has been our preference to help them with pursuing acquisition.
Okay. I think it's an answer. I think it's a question we don't really have a good answer for right now, but we'll have to figure out because it's going to come to a head. Probably more than at least 2 areas in my district, but probably more throughout the city. But as the city begins to develop.
Yeah, and I think there's, again, I think that we have tried to be clear that although we create pathways for ownership for folks that are existing Adopt-A-Lot, lessees, that, it is a temporary program, and, the long term, which means that the long term intent is not that that these properties are, kind of in that state. That ultimately we want to dispose of those properties in one way or the other. And I think that, there are sometimes that, community discussions need to go on, whether that's through neighborhood plans or other means, as to what ultimately the use of those properties when the city does, dispose of them, is. Whether that is, at the time that we're disposing of that for an Adopt-A-Lot lessee, or whether that is when we're telling an Adopt-A-Lot lessee that ultimately at the end of their lease term, the intention is going to be to have that property be developed in some other form.
I hear you, and I think we're saying the same thing. I think we're just the delicacy of working that out will be a little complicated.
Yes,
it may be worthwhile, and it's probably not through the formal city budget, but it may be worthwhile trying to pursue some sort of funding that would then be able to assist in those sort of scenarios. But that's a budgetary discussion.
Yeah, and again, I think that's in that kind of idea of, even though it's not specifically in the legislation around trying to make sure that we're creating more predictability for Adopt-A-Lot lessees in their lease. I mean, I think some of that is, if there is a situation in which they would be on properties that would be sold for, let's just say, residential development. That there's enough time, that there's an awareness that they can kind of complete their lease and go through the things necessary to be able to transition themselves off of a site, which is not ideal, and I understand that, because there is, a different future that's seen long term.
I'll also flag that for folks who don't have the funding to pursue acquisition, Grow Pittsburgh and the Allegheny Land Trust have a program. It's a garden protection program to help in cases like that. Thank you.
Third round, Councilwoman Gross.
Yeah, just to remind council that lots of these topics have been explored at length at this table, and there are post agendas on them, and we have discussed them vis-a-vis Adopt-A-Lot and how that works with Land Bank. I do think that could be strengthened even further. It was quite a bitter battle to try to protect the people who had Adopt-A-Lot leases. when we did the tri-party agreement with the land bank, and we did protect them in the end for the gardens, right? So the people that had active leases with adopt-a-lots, it said that the land bank has to give them the right of first refusal, basically. And so, but it was only for the ones that were current at that time. I think it would be even stronger, and council has the power to amend a cooperative agreement between those parties, if we can get them all to agree, especially, right, to say that, you know, it's not just the old adopt-a-lot leases that should be protected, but we can negotiate on what and where. And so I think that is definitely a further discussion. So just as a reminder to the public, this is not the first time we're talking about these tensions. It's definitely not the first time that this body has heard that there's a problem with having 1 year or even 3 year leases on adopt-a-lots. It's part of the reason that I wrote this legislation in April of 2020 to say, let this body argue about it in advance. Let's argue about where housing should be. Let's argue about where, because I've passed similar bills talking about where we should put housing. So instead of just kind of throwing all the treasurer's sale properties up in the air and then fighting about it after the fact, this would be us being proactive, is to look at where there needs to be more recreational, open space in agricultural areas. And I think that is the conversation that we haven't really finished having yet. So we can protect gardens, and we should, because we should. There's not every lot in the city and not every lot in the treasure sale is actually conducive to urban gardening, right? Or even agroforestry. And we have shade studies, slope studies, vacant space studies, food access studies, and we've looked at them, and there's a whole committee of stakeholders, just are kind of towards the audience here, that have been meeting for years about what areas would be most conducive to this kind of activity that, honestly, I just want to say this, people are entitled to, and that this table should support. Again, we buy specialized baseball dirt, industrial grade baseball dirt for baseball fields. We would love people playing sports and playing baseball and softball, and we maintain those areas with capital investments and operating investments. Same thing with swimming pools. We think our urban gardening is reaching nearly as many citizens as our aquatics division, but with 4 staff and not 50. Not that we don't love the lifeguards, not that we don't love our aquatics, and certainly with a minuscule fraction of a % of the capital investments. So I'm here to defend this all day long, but also I'm here to motion for a 1 week hold.
Is a 1 week hold on all 4
all
bills?
All 4 bills, again, with to respect to Councilman Coghill, who wanted to be here for this discussion and was out of town this week. I think I've talked to most of us about it.
There's a motion to hold all 5 bills for 1 week. Is there a second?
Second.
With discussion, Andrew, Director Dash?
I was just to Councilman Gross's point. One thing just to add to that is that for some of the longer term ownership or longer term kind of direction for this, that is part of the legislation to create the City Farms Garden Program. For people who might want longer term, access to a property. These have longer lease opportunities than the Adopt-A-Lot program, and would be spaces that, would not be under any, kind of fear of being sold because they are properties that are under permanent city ownership.
Thank you. All those in favor of a 1 week hold, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All 5 bills have been held for 1 week. That moves us to 564. We did not do 568. Okay, so that moves us to Bill 568.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of permits, licenses, and inspections to enter on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh into an agreement or agreements with Bata Environmental Associates, Inc. for professional services providing materials for an analysis of lead dust samples pertaining to PLI's execution of the City of Pittsburgh's lead safe ordinance for a total cost not to exceed $35,949.14 over 3 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. Now that moves us to Innovation Performance, Asset Management, and Technology, which is chaired by Councilwoman Gross. We have one new paper, Bill 555.
Resolution amending Resolution Number 346 of 2025, which authorized an amended agreement with Workiva, Inc. to provide a subscription-based publishing software solution by extending the term for an additional 1 year and increasing the approved amount by $61,493.31 for a new total cost not to exceed $339,461.12 over 7 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilman Mosley. We have one deferred paper, Bill 531.
Resolution authorizing the adoption of the Downtown Pittsburgh Transit Revitalization Investment District Implementation Plan and related agreements. Council District 1.
Motion to hold for a public hearing and to hold a post agenda.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill will be held for both a public hearing and a cablecast post agenda. We have one new paper, Bill 557.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works for the City of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Borough of Wilkinsburg for the collection of a portion of the borough's municipal waste by the city at a borough cost not to exceed $3,401,631.99 over a period of 3 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Affirmative recommendation. With that, we do have meeting announcements. This afternoon with sessions at 2 and 2:30, council will hold a briefing relative to the work of Pittsburgh Community Services that they perform within the city. Next Monday, June 15th at 1 o'clock, council will hold a cablecast public hearing on Bill 481 relative to the Passport Academy Charter Schools conditional use application. Speaker registration will close at 11. Also next week, council will hold our regular meeting on Tuesday, June 16th, and our standing committee on Wednesday, June 17th at 10 a.m. Speaker registration will close at 9. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. With that, we need a motion to excuse the absent member, approve the minutes, and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Oh, all in favor say aye, sorry.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Sean gonna do that thing?
Oh, yes, we do. Where's, I apologize.
Keep it going.
Every single regular and standing committee meeting, we have to read the statement of bringing, announcing that we're looking to impose a new tax. It's per state law, but we've also never created a new tax. Yeah.
We could ask Tom Link to do it. Oh.
Tom. I'm about to say, I had a copy of it up there, but I think I threw it away because Sean. No, I was looking for it, if we had a copy of it. I previously. Yeah, anyone can read it. It just has to be. Yep, that's it. Thank you. So, for the public, Please be advised that pursuant to the Act of December 31st, 1965, PL 1257, as amended, the Council of the City of Pittsburgh has introduced and intends to levy a new tax in the City of Pittsburgh called the Pittsburgh Mechanical Amusement Device Tax. Amusement device. The amusement devices and apparatus to be subject to this tax are herein described as Class 1. Class 1 devices include poker machines, video slot machines, video sweepstake machines, and any other type of purely amusement device permitted by law. The tax for Class 1 devices shall be $1,000 per device per year. Class 2. Class 2 devices include machines which offer prizes for amusement such as stuffed animals, toys, candy, or other items. The tax for Class 2 devices shall be $100 per device per year. Class 3. Class 3 devices include machines and apparatus used for entertainment and public participation for sports, which includes, but is not limited to, darts, jukeboxes, pool tables, pinball machines, shuffleboard machines, and children's video games. The tax for Class 3 devices shall be $10 per device per year. The tax shall be imposed on any person, business, or amusement or establishment that houses and offers for play an amusement device for each such device in its condition of a license or permit being issued. The Council of the City of Pittsburgh has determined that new sources of general revenue are required to maintain city services for infrastructure and to bring the city's budget into long-term balance. Initial estimates by the council project $2 million to $3 million per year, and new revenue will be derived from this tax. With that, all those in favor of adjournment say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Now we are adjourned. Thank you.